Hey everyone. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, so I'm going to try to put one up tonight. So I'm sitting in the ambulance, as you can tell. We've had a lot of success with working on it. I don't remember the state that we last posted something, but we've got the fuel pump replaced, we got the turbo back in, we got a bunch of new gaskets and seals done in there. We got it started up, we got it running. It had a little bit of a problem purging all of the air out of the lines, but we got some extensions on the Schrader valve on the fuel bowl so I can reach in while it's running without having to reach over and around and behind a bunch of stuff, so I can get to it. It's right beside the radiator. Purge a lot of air out of the system while it's running. Had one day where it stumbled and didn't want to run, but we kept working on purging the air out of it, running it, purging the air out, running it. So it's running really well right now. We took it for a spin around the block. It runs fine, seems to have a good amount of power. I haven't left the neighborhood with it yet because I'm still a little leery about doing that just yet. Um, but it seems to be running well, and we put a can of fuel injection cleaner through it. Um, Hopefully, we've solved a lot of the problems. I've done a ton of work with it, and if you want to know details, by all means, paste a comment, ask some questions, and I'll kind of go through that in detail. But I'm not going to belabor that point tonight. The front end, we took the seats out of it. I don't know if I mentioned that in a previous video. It's a pain to work on the engine with the seats in place because there's just no room up there, and everything you go through the doghouse through the cab because it's a van style front end. So we took the seats out. We saw the seats underneath the seats. The seat pedestals were corroded and rusted really bad, so we pulled those out of there and found that one of them was literally just crumbling apart. Well, since we had the seats out, we saw the carpet was nasty and dirty, so we pulled the carpet out. And underneath the carpet, the floor was in rough shape. It's got a lot of surface rust, a lot of pitting, a lot of flaking paint. So we sanded and wire wheeled the floor. We put fiberglass patch panels in the corners where the wheel wells meet the floorboard itself. We had some holes that were working their way through, so we cleaned that up really well. Put some fiberglass patches on that. Put some undercoating paint down on the inside of the floor, some seam sealer, and some gaps that were not sealed properly from the factory. They just put down a piece of filler steel, tack welded it, and then that was it. They didn't prime the metal, they didn't seam seal it, none of that. So we took care of that. So now there's no carpet up there, even though the seats are back in the van for the moment. I have some carpet underlayment sound deadening material and some indoor outdoor carpeting that I'm going to put down in there for now to protect the sound deadening material, but it's not the solution that I want forever. But it'll be enough to be able to drive it around and keep it somewhat protected until I can find really the piece of carpet that I want up there. So it's almost impossible to find carpet for the front end of this because it is so old. They don't really make restoration carpet for just the cab anymore. You can get an entire piece of carpet for an entire full conversion van, but that's way more than we need, and it's like $800 for the entire thing, and I only need like the first 4 feet of it. So we're gonna keep looking for that, but right now we're either gonna put the indoor outdoor carpeting in or some really thick vinyl flooring so we can just sweep and brush it out because we're gonna take it out, you know, off road in sandy, dirty, you know, campgrounds and off the grid type stuff. So it's going to get real dirty up there. I don't want to put a really nice carpeting up there because it's just going to get walked on in dirt and all that. So, but the seat pedestals are in, and real quick detour on that. I had custom seat pedestals made. So I told you the old ones we took them out. They were crumbling. They were seat steel. They were rusting apart. So one of the guys who's working with us, Matt, is a welder, and I kind of gave him that project. I was like, here you go. Here's the old pedestal. Here's, a whole bunch of square tubing. Make up some custom seat pedestals. And he did. He did a really nice job making custom seat pedestals for the van. Only problem is they're a little bit too tall. They're like 2.5 to 3 inches taller than they're supposed to be. And, it's a simple mistake. Matt's really young guy, so experience. He measured the height of it, and then he made the bottom frame, and he made the upper frame, and he put the risers between them all, and didn't deduct the height of the bottom frame and the top frame. So cumulatively, it's 3 inches taller than it should be. But we got him in there and got the seats mounted, and it's kind of amusing that, you know, you sit up really high in a really high vehicle. So we ended up pulling the driver's seat back out, cut the pedestal, welded it back together, and it's back in at the right height. The passenger seat is still tall. We're going to leave it tall for now, just so we can move forward with other things in the project. Eventually, though, yes, I do want to take it out and cut it down. But there's not really a problem with headroom in this thing, because in the cab area, where the standard truck cab would be, there's another 14 inches of headspace above that because of the fiberglass shell and steel framing that they put on top of the cab to support the lights, to aerodynamics for the big box back here, and other things. So there's plenty of headroom up there. It's not really going to be an issue for anybody for a while, but eventually we're going to get it fixed. But the seats are mounted now. I've got to take them back out to get the carpet and underlayment down in, because we literally got those Tuesday night while we were putting the seats in, so that we could actually move the ambulance around. So we got the seats mounted in, took it for a spin around the block. Like I said, it runs really good right now. I'm still leery about leaving the neighborhood with it, but that day is going to have to come. So we drive it around the block, a few more times. I still have to put the seat belts in it. We took them out, obviously, to do all the work up there. They're sitting right here. So all I got to do is mount them back in. But one of the things that I found with these is where this bolt is, the seat frame now comes to here instead of back here. So we're going to have to cut these down so that these can go into the proper hole. Obviously, it's going to go up like this. But yeah, this much of it has to be cut off. But that's not really a big deal. It's an easy problem to do. It's just been, lower priority than getting the floors done, because I wanted to get that cleaned and protected and put something on it so we could at least get the seats in and move the ambulance around, because I got to work on my other truck, and where this was, it blocked the 46, which blocked getting to the garage door, and it's shuffling cars. There's musical cars out here every time we want to work on something. But so right now it's running. It's actually plugged in right now. I got the light on. I got the fan open. I don't have the fan on right now, so we have this automated fan in here. If I hit this button right here, the fan will turn on. And if I turn it off, it will actually shut the door after it turns the fan off. So it's a pretty cool little automated fan system that Stephanie wanted to get. So here we are. High tech. Okay. So in here, you can see we've got the wallpaper up. We've got some dishes in here. We've got a stove in here now. The bed, you can see the mattress. We got some pillows back here. It's not covered right now because we didn't want to get all the sheets and stuff dirty while we're still working in here. Now that we're not taking the trip in May, obviously, we may have time to do the floors. Stephanie says she wants to do the floors while we have time. So once we get the flooring done up front and get a few other little things kind of appointed, then we're going to start working on the floor back here, which means we've got to do a lot of work. And I'm debating whether I'm going to take the bed out and do floors all the way through. The smart thing is to do the floor from the cab all the way to the back door, but that means I got to take that bed out of here, and with this big ass mattress sitting on top of it, that's going to be a pain. So I'm not sure that's going to happen, but we'll see. Let's see what else is going on in here. Not a whole lot else. We took a lot of detour to get the engine work done, because if the engine's not running, obviously we're not going anywhere. So now that that's done, I can spend a little bit more time with strapping some things down, putting some stuff in the outer cabinets. We tested the generator on Tuesday. The generator starts up, runs. The generator will support most of what we got going on here. I had the light on, I had the battery charger hooked up, I had something else going on the generator, and it did seem to have an issue with it. So that's kind of our biggest worry, is making sure that the battery charger will run with the generator as well as the light. And I didn't think there would be a problem with it, but you just have to hook it up and turn it on and make sure. Like I said, there's everything in here we kind of did a lot of before we lost the engine. So we got the bed done, we got hot and cold running water in here right now. It's not turned on right now because I don't want to be spilling water while I'm working on things. I got to make a filler panel for a couple of spots up here behind the heater. I took those off a couple of months back to do wiring stuff, and I was going to put something in there, and I just really don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to put the original covers back on it, but I'm still looking at making some custom panels. It's just going to be a matter of time whether I get that done. I rewired the switches up front. That's something I'll have to show you a picture of later. Underneath the driver's seat, there's a whole mess of wires, and they're all laying on the floor. And I think that's part of what was leading to some of the corrosion and mess underneath the carpet. So one of the things that I did is behind the driver's seat, on the wall that goes up behind the seat, I made a diamond plate shelf. And on that shelf, I mounted the cutoff switch, the resistor, the solenoid, and all the things that that get managed with the electricity in this thing, and mounted all of those things to that, and then lifted the wiring up and wire tied all the wiring together. So it's still kind of in the same place. It's behind the driver's seat, but it's tucked up against the wall and it's raised off the floor, so you can actually put your hand all the way across the floor and there's nothing touching the floor. So that was kind of an important thing for me. Plus, I took a lot of wiring circuits out of it that were not needed. There was stuff that was just connected. It was 12 volt hot all the time, constantly connected to the battery, and then just coiled up, not connected to anything. And we initially knew that. We marked it and kind of rolled it up out of the way when we first started doing the electrical work on this thing, because we didn't know that it wasn't actually going to be connected to anything. And eventually we found that we just simply didn't need it. So I took a lot of time to take a lot of circuits out there and take them out as cleanly as I could. Didn't want to just start hacking wires off. So de-installed a lot of electrical. So what's in there now is only what's needed to make this thing work. Let's see, I think I'm going to wrap this up for now. If you have any comments, questions, by all means, put them in there. Ask specific things so I can have a little bit more direction with these videos, and I'll let you know when I got something else going on. Alright, bye guys.